Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and I'm on the phone here with Hank Goldberg. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning, Jim. Big week.
Oh
Exciting.
my God, it's a huge week. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Anything happened in the last couple days that has really sparked your attention?
Well, the Atlanta-Philadelphia game is very interesting for a lot of reasons. It's a very tough game to figure because, first of all, you got Philadelphia with Foles, who has not looked good in preseason, and he's missing two of his top receivers. Jeffrey's not going to play, and he's got another receiver out. Atlanta, I'll give you a factor that might come to play for Atlanta. Their long snapper is out, which could be a factor on their special teams, which could come to play in what should be a low-scoring game. Remember, when they played in the championship game, the game was decided on a trick play, and the final score was 15-10. And I'm going to tell you something about Atlanta. That last year they were 2-6 against the spread on the road. They did not play very well offensively, particularly in the red zone. Atlanta's top wide receiver only caught one touchdown pass and 18 times that they were in the red zone.
Wow.
And on the other hand, Philadelphia had 38 sacks last year on defense. They've got a terrific front. They've got a very good secondary. And Philadelphia's defense, Schwartz, has had Atlanta's number. So, you're looking at a team that has revenge on its mind, but they still have the same offensive coordinator who doesn't communicate well with Atlanta. And I just think that Philadelphia, despite the fact that the quarterback didn't look good this summer, and despite the injuries in the wide receiver area, the defense is healthy, and they've got a really good offensive line, perhaps the best offensive line in football. They're rated that way. And so Ajayi, who had a bad foot, is ready to go. And I think they're going to run the ball against Atlanta, and those are the factors in the game. You guys decide.
Well, here's an interesting fact. Philadelphia opened up in this game when they first put the line up. Philadelphia was 5.5. Most places today have Philadelphia 2. There's one place Philadelphia's 1.5, and there's another pretty significant offshore book that has Atlanta 1. So when you have the Super Bowl champions that had basically the same team that they played in the Super Bowl at home, getting much less than their home field advantage is against the team. Let's talk about the difference between Kyle Shanahan and Sarkisian at offensive coordinator for Atlanta. They dropped 10 points a game between 2016 and 2017 after they lost Shanahan and picked up Sarkisian. That's, this is not the same team that people remember that had the 28-3 lead against New England in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They're very good. I'm not knocking them. They're very good, and they're likely to get better under Sarkisian the second year. However, this is a big line adjustment, and if you're looking for value, not everybody's a value player, but if you're looking for value, Philadelphia should be at least, they're the Super Bowl champs, arguably the better team. They should at least be 3, if not 3.5 in this game. Maybe even 4. The odds maker made them 5.5 when they opened it, although they were thinking maybe Wentz was going to play. But this is a very, very confusing game when you put all those factors together. Just like you said, Hank, it's very confusing.
Well, Foles has looked terrible this summer. He has not had a good game. He's been way off in his passes. And remember, it was a trick play that decided their championship game. On the other hand, Atlanta's defensive line is in transition right now. They lost 2 of their starters in the offseason, so they're making changes there. You know something? Until Sark changes, and until Atlanta proves they can score in the red zone, and until they can play on the road. They were 2-6 against the spread on the road last year. They did not play well when traveling. And next week they've got a very big division game. But not that this isn't an important game. So there are a lot of factors that point towards Philadelphia, despite the fact that Jeffries is not playing, and they've got another wide receiver out. 2 of their top 5 wide receivers are not playing. Holland is the other guy who's not going to play.
Very interesting. Anything else that?
Well, it's a great week schedule-wise. I really like the card. There's some really good matchups this week in the NFL. How good is Cleveland? That question might be answered. Luck is coming back against Cincinnati, a good defense he's going to have to face. Jacksonville and the Giants is a real good matchup. Giants are supposed to be vastly improved. Houston playing against New England. Houston with getting their quarterback, who threw for over 300 yards against New England last year, and they had New England beat. And a lot of people think they can beat them this time around. Kansas City with their new quarterback against the Chargers. I want to point out something there. Everybody's all over the Chargers right now. But remember, Kansas City has beaten the Chargers 8 straight times. And, Dallas going to Carolina is a good matchup. It's Chicago with their new defensive star going up to Green Bay. And Monday night, the Rams against Gruden. So, you couldn't ask for a better opening week card.
No, it's a great card.
Then, there's some good college matchups. Southern Cal against Stanford. The new powerhouse, Hawaii, is entertaining Rice. Boy, did Hawaii turn things around in a hurry.
It sure did.
They had two huge wins. And Georgia, South Carolina is a terrific matchup. Georgia, the Georgia coach is 7-1 on the road recently, but South Carolina has always played well against them. That's a real good matchup.
That's a great matchup.
And so it's a great week for football.
Let me ask you a question about the NFL. Division games have more meaning for the most part than other games do, because it's your division you have to beat if you want to get anywhere, especially you want to win your division, which gets you into the playoffs. You want to play well against your division opponents, which can end up being a tiebreaker situation. You have several division games. You got Cleveland as a home dog to Pittsburgh. That's a division game. You've got Tampa Bay, a road dog against New Orleans. That's a division game. You have Kansas City against the Chargers. As you mentioned, Kansas City beats them like a drum. They're a road dog to the Chargers. You've got Chicago with Green Bay. That's a road dog, at Green Bay. That's another division game. A lot of division games, and a lot of times, the old theory is these division games are played tighter. They're more meaningful. They're a little bit more important than, say, a team playing a non-division, a cross-country trip, like maybe the Jets against Detroit or somebody like that, which doesn't have as much significance, and the teams are not as used to each other. So, do you put any stock in division games as opposed to non-division games, Hank?
Well, I do. I think the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game is a good example. Cleveland always plays them tough at home. And Pittsburgh on the road, there's some startling offensive stats that show that Pittsburgh doesn't score that much on the road. And Cleveland's got a good defense. And, Cleveland is thinking they got something this year. They've got some good offensive weapons. And, Pittsburgh doesn't have their star running back, it looks like, for this game. He's not going to be able to play. So, that game is going to have some importance. The Tampa Bay-New Orleans game, New Orleans always beats them at home. That's a kind of a home-and-home series. And Tampa Bay's without their quarterback. And New Orleans is kind of loaded right now. But Kansas City and the Chargers, Kansas City's got a lot of offensive weapons, and the Chargers are supposed to be the team to beat in that division. That's a big game.
Huge game.
Chicago Green Bay is, Chicago is got a pretty strong running game. That might be a better game than people think.
Well, yeah. Now you have this, this Khalil Mack, which arguably one of the best players on defense, and now he's there, and that's a big upgrade. And if Trubisky, it's all going to come down to, did Trubisky grow in the offseason to being more than he was a year ago, which was basically a game manager. And I mean, you're playing against arguably the best quarterback in football, in Aaron Rodgers. Now he can't do it himself, of course, but these division games are life and death for some of these teams, and you got to look closely at those. New England and Houston is interesting. The game's up to 6.5 or 7 in most cases. And how much of an effect do you see with New England with the changeover in players? This is the highest total on the board at 51.
I think it's a huge difference. I think New England is going to suffer from some of the losses on offense. They've lost one of their dependable receivers. They've lost a lot of guys from their offensive line, and defensively, I don't think they're the team they used to be. I think you're going to find out that New England is probably a little bit on the decline. But even on the decline, they don't have to do a lot to win their division.
No, the only team in their division that looks like it could be, I mean, this is really stretching it. I'm not predicting this in any way, but I think Buffalo is a train wreck and Miami is a semi-train wreck. The Jets, I give the Jets a little bit more respect. Of course, now we're going with a rookie quarterback, so we don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, because McCown last year, even though he's a journeyman, he actually played pretty well for them. Now, I mean, if Darnold can't really do much, you're basically handing that division to New England without much competition at all. Not that there was that much before. But so even with the decline in some of the pieces with New England, they should walk right to the playoffs as a division winner. So that's the motivation there is issue, and then of course we always have this.
That has nothing to do with this game.
No.
And they're playing a quality team that was able to put up a lot of yardage and a lot of points against them when they played last year. And Brady had to pull out all the stops to beat them. And now they're coming in totally healthy on defense. And I think they're going to be able to put pressure on Brady. And I think this is a game that's highly competitive. And I think the number is inflated. And I'm surprised it hasn't gone down.
Well, I've seen the opening that I looked at was 6.5. There is one place at 6. No, it's 2 places at 6. The rest are 6.5, and there's one place at 7. So, I mean, I personally, if I grab that, I would grab that 7. I think that's a little high. But even 6.5 is high. But as we look at it,
I think that there's a chance that the money line might be good, and I think there's a good chance that Houston beats them in this game. New England has a habit of not starting off so great in opening games.
well, there's a some people want to go out there and take a little 6.5 or 7, and money line. You got a chance for a pretty good payday because those money line prices are pretty strong. But baseball has been heating up too. We got the race all over the league, stuff going on. The Tampa Bay Rays have brought in this concept of using what they now call openers, and they are rocking. And now other teams are copying that style because it's so hard to find quality starting pitchers that can go more than 4 or 5 innings. So now they're using these deep bullpens. I mean, Stanek, he started 2 games in a row in the last 2 days, and they won both of them. And I think they've won 8 or 9 in a row. They've been red hot. New concept in baseball. It looks like it's catching on.
Where else is it catching on?
There's a couple other teams that have been doing it as well. I just can't remember off the top of my head who they are. But they don't do it often, but they've done it a couple times. And basically because their starters get injured and they need to do something. And it popped up a couple other places.
I don't see it with any of the teams that are contenders. I think only the teams that are desperate would do that. I don't see that becoming a trend anywhere. I think that right now, the races, Milwaukee has been hot lately, and they've been closing in on Chicago. That's become a race. Outside of that, it's the same race out west, the 3-team race in the National League. Dodgers are playing better. It helps that they've gotten their closer back and they're hitting the ball better. Outside of that, the one team that hasn't been able to hold on lately is in Oakland. And that's what's been going on with the pennant races.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Some big games in baseball today, and we'll be through the weekend as well. Hey, Hank, you got anything going on this weekend for horses?
No. It's a dead week for horse racing. They're moving back to Belmont. The summer meets are over with, and they go to Los Alamitos for the post-Del Mar meet, and they'll have a brief meet there between Del Mar and the next big meet and they get prepared for the Breeders' Cup, which is in early November, which is in Kentucky this year. So there's some big racing coming up in Canada. This is usually a big time for. There's a fall meet in Canada that's pretty good, but outside of that, there's nothing this weekend.
Where is that? Where is the meet in Canada? What part of the country?
Toronto.
Okay. And they get pretty good. They get pretty good crowds there in that racetrack.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a great place. Well, they have a casino there that does very well too. But I used to go up to Woodbine for their fall. They had big fall races there, and they had one big day where they had a grass championship and a lot of the New York horses would go up there and participate. They have a very good racing secretary there, and they have good jockeys that ride up there. But a lot of the New York jockeys would go up for that big day in the fall. And I used to have to wind up doing my ESPN football picks from the studio in Toronto, the studio we used was in the building where the stadium was. It was a great setup. But I really enjoyed going up there for the racing. They took good care of us. The weather could be a little chilly at the time when they were running, but if you could put up with that, you saw some good racing.
That's one thing Canada is known for, is some chilly weather. That's for sure. Well, thanks, Hank. Great talking to you again, and thanks for your insights. And you're posting your plays at jimfeist.com, and you've been red hot. And let me remind everybody that last year you won the Review Journal contest in pro football. You did very well in college football as well. And then in the Westgate contest, you were in the top 5 or 10 all year long and made a tremendous effort there. And everybody, and you had a good week last preseason week. So you've been red hot in pro football for a couple of years now, and I think people should go there to get started. You can tell by Hank's insights, he knows a lot more than most people. And get on board, get the soft lines, take advantage of Hank's picks. They're posted at jimfeist.com. Mine are there as well. The 3 of the last 4 years, I've hit 62 or 63% of my plays in pro football and totals. So if you like pro football sides and totals, I have those. Get jimfeist.com as well. And Hank's plays, all of our baseball plays are there as well. And when horses are running that Hank likes, they're also posted there. So Hank, thank you very much. Have a great day. And thank you everybody out there for tuning in and listening.
All right. Have a good day, Jim.